If it smells real good, come guinea pig it. Rice deserves joy, don't be stingy with it.
Hello, it's Lauren.
I'm TJ.
And this is the pilot episode of Wheels, Whisks, and Wedding Rings. Forgive us, we are not pros, but we did think ahead and we got everything prepped and we're going to cook together. So join us. We are making tonight wedding ring shrimp.
Okay.
And it is a really yummy shrimp with a kind of sticky, savory sweet sauce on it, and it's going to be served with roasted fingerling potatoes and sautéed broccoli because that's the only way that our son will eat broccoli. So, the broccoli we're going to probably start last because it doesn't take nearly as long. But first, I want to show you, we have some really pretty fingerling potatoes. I've already got them all chopped up. Look how beautiful that is. It's gorgeous. Anyway, so that's the only thing that's in the bowl right now. This is not something that I really use measurements on, but I'll just tell you, you're going to add some olive oil or any neutral oil, but we like olive oil. And you just do it just enough that, like, when you stir them around, all of the potatoes can get some olive oil on them. And then you're going to add a little bit of pepper. We like fresh cracked pepper. You can use regular pepper. It doesn't really make a difference. It's all going to be delicious either way. So, and you do all, these are all things that you're just going to do to taste. There's no measurement and there's no right or wrong. And at the end, while you're eating it, if there's not enough salt, just add some salt. So anyway, because you know potatoes eat salt. And then we're going to add some salt.
And if you're allergic to fish or shellfish, substitute chicken.
Oh, yeah.
That would be good.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh, that would be good. We're going to have to try that. Okay, and then I add, so I usually use garlic powder and onion powder, but honestly, with the roasted potatoes, you can pretty much use any seasoning you like. I'm going simple tonight because there's going to be such a complex flavor in the sauce that I don't want to like put our taste buds into shock. So that would be a little crazy. So I'm just going to sprinkle some garlic powder, you know, just however much you want, and sprinkle some onion powder. Oh, come on. Yeah, however much you want. And then we're going to take a spoon, which I should have brought out, but didn't. Okay. And then we're just going to mix it all up, make sure everything is coated. If you want to add more salt and pepper, like for a layered kind of thing, that's fine too. And you're going to pop them into the oven at 375 degrees, which we've already got it taken care of. On a foil-lined baking sheet or in a single layer in like a 9x13. But if you use a 9x13, make sure it's either lined with foil or sprayed with, you know, or greased in some way. Butter, olive oil, whatever. Because potatoes will stick and they will ruin your pan. Okay, so now we've got these all coated in the olive oil and seasonings, and we're gonna just pour them onto our baking pan, which is lined, and I'm gonna take my little handy dandy rubber spatula because there's a lot of seasoning and olive oil in here that we want to make sure ends up on the potatoes and not just in the dishwasher. Okay, you want to spread those out for me?
Yep.
Okay. And so when I cook, because my mom taught me, I always clean as I go. Some people don't, and that works for them. I do. So before I even start cooking, I run myself a sink of dishwater, or make sure the dishwasher is available. And then while things are cooking and I don't have to be right on them, then I can just, you know, swivel my feet around and do some dishes. And that's how I do this pretty much the entire time on wheels. And you will notice that I stand up every now and then. You know, obviously I'm going to have to stand up and, you know, maybe go retrieve something, but I'd say 95% of the time I'm seated on wheels.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have a drink here. You got to stay hydrated.
And now I flip these potatoes over, skin side down.
Oh yeah, skin side down. Yeah, because if you don't, they could stick. They don't stick nearly as fast. So they're gonna, when they come out, they're gonna be obviously cooked all the way through. They're gonna be kind of golden brown, have maybe some crispy edges. They're gonna be fantastic, and they're gonna start smelling really good very shortly after they're in the oven. So, and that's kind of the torture part for us, but it's a hazard of the trade. All right, that can go ahead and be popped in. So it depends on how many potatoes how much you're using. We're using like 2 small bags. So I'm thinking probably about 30 minutes. This is, again, not one of my exact science recipes. It's just something that I pop in the oven and then I keep checking until they are what they. So the first thing we want to do is to start on the sauce for the shrimp. And so I've got everything I need. Got to have a whisk. And I got really lucky because one of the ingredients is honey. And I had exactly the amount of honey I needed for the recipe and no more. So, small miracles. Okay. Also, this recipe has an irrational amount of garlic. It calls for 10 cloves. If you're not a big garlic fan, you can either decrease or eliminate it completely. Maybe use garlic powder, or maybe not use garlic anything. It's completely up to you, but we cook with a lot of garlic, so we 10-cloved it. So the first thing we're going to do is you have a small bowl. And we have, I'm sorry, that's not the small bowl. This is the small bowl. It's actually a little measuring cup. But this is a cornstarch slurry. It is 2 teaspoons of cornstarch to 2 tablespoons of cold water. And you just mix it up. I'm not going to use it yet. I'm just showing them. Yeah. You just mix it up, and you want to make sure that none of the cornstarch is stuck to the bottom of the vessel, or else it's not going to thicken your sauce. So the first thing you're going to do is you are going to, and this is the small bowl, you're going to add your massive amount of garlic. Again, it's 10 cloves. And I'm going to put at the end of this, the recipe will be in print, so you'll be able to see it. So here's our garlic. And you can mince it with a mincer, which I often do, but tonight I minced by hand. I like to mince by hand, and puts my knife skills to the test a little bit. So there's our garlic. And then after that, you are going to use the juice of 2 limes. You can add a little bit more if you want to. If you're like really I'm a huge fan of lime. I cook with it a lot. So this is the juice of 2 limes, and then the zest of 1 lime. This is actually the zest of 2, so I'm only going to put half in. And then at the end, we can actually sprinkle some on as like a garnish. You don't want to sprinkle a whole lot on there because it can end up a little bit bitter. So there's our lime zest. And then the next thing you're going to put in is a 1/3 cup of honey. Make sure you're using real honey, not like a honey substitute. It won't turn out right if you use a substitute. So you're just going to put the honey in the bowl. I cook with a lot of honey, which is, I buy it at Costco and I'm out, so that should tell you I cook with a lot of honey. And then, okay, so we got a 1/4 cup of soy sauce, and I didn't even take my measuring cups out. Where is my 1/4 cup? It's over here, huh? Nope, that's not a 1/4 cup. This might be a 1/4 cup. Well, okay, so we got a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. If you don't like to cook with soy sauce, you could actually use coconut aminos as well, and it will have the same effect. So, yeah, 1/4 cup. And so we're just gonna pour that. You wanna stick that in the bowl for me? And then we have next 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire. And I don't know what it is about Worcestershire, but I love it. Usually, if I have a recipe that calls for Worcestershire, I go a little bit crazy with it. But for tonight's purposes, I'm going to stick with the 2 tablespoons. But there have been times that I will sneak a few more splashes in because I really love cooking with it. So there's the Worcestershire. The next thing that goes in is a teaspoon of smoked paprika. And you definitely want to use smoked. Regular paprika will make it pretty, but the flavor, you'll definitely know the difference in flavor. So I'm just going to open this because it doesn't want to open from the lid right now. It's a brand new bottle. So we got a teaspoon of smoked paprika. It smells really, really good. And that goes in there. The next, did I do the Worcestershire?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's weird because I guess, you know what? I just went in the wrong order. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's all going in the same bowl. Okay. So we got soy sauce, Worcestershire, smoke. Okay. So now we're going to do a 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. And we also use a whole lot of cumin. So we
Mexican.
Because I have a Mexican husband, and I'm very thankful for that because this man knows his way around a kitchen. But this is another thing we buy at Costco because we use a lot of cumin. And I tend to go heavy on that too, but for tonight, I'm just going to stick with the recipe. Then we have our fresh cracked pepper, and that is just to taste. So we're going to just throw a little bit of that in there. And I really love these grinders because when you have psoriatic or any, I would assume, arthritis, your fingers often are very, very painful, and doing a manual grind can be, it can be very unpleasant. You know, we didn't get the apple cider vinegar. We need 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar, and I don't even, or white vinegar if we don't have apples. Oh, but I think we do. Yeah. So my husband here does not like the smell of vinegar. So usually if I have to cook with vinegar, he's not in here while I'm doing it. But for filming purposes, he is going to walk out into the garage and avoid the smell of... No, for filming purposes, he's decided that he will sacrifice himself to the vinegar. So, okay, so now we have all of our ingredients in the bowl, and we're going to scrape off our little spatula, and we're going to whisk this all together until it is mixed well. Let me hit reverse and about hit the fan. Hello, it's me, and I call my scooter Lucy, but most of the time you'll just hear me say scooter. Okay, so what we have now is we've heated some olive oil in a frying pan, just enough to like cover the bottom, and we're gonna cook our vegetables. And the vegetables that we have today, this is my recipe, and even though see, I always keep them on an app in my phone. Even though I cook recipes all the time, I'm kind of militant about measuring. And TJ, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. He likes to eyeball everything, so that just makes me nervous. I'm just a little bit crazy about it. So anyway, that's my recipe. So if I need to stand, a lot of times I'll stand right on the scooter, which is kind of handy because it gives me a little bit of height. I can reach shelves and whatever. So we have, the oil is already heated, and I'm using olive oil, and we are going to add the onion and the bell peppers. So the onion is just like a rough chop. They're kind of big. If you can, let's see, right there. And we're just going to toss them in. Woo, that's one of my favorite sounds. Sizzle, sizzle. So we got the onion in there, and look at these. They are gorgeous. So we're going to toss them in too. And then, don't want to miss any. There we go. I wash my hands, don't worry. Can I have a spatula, please, hon? Thank you, sir. And then we're just going to, oh no, I lost one. It's a tragedy. And my stove runs hot. Whoops, that's my horn. Let me turn my scooter off. Okay, my stove runs hot. So you know your stove better than I do. You can use like a medium low or a medium, but for me, it's kind of on the low side, because on this stove, if you heat it at medium, you're gonna have char on the outside and raw on the inside. It's just the way our stove is. And these onions are already starting to caramelize a little bit, which is exactly what we're looking for. So you're just going to cook these until they're softened. The recipe doesn't say to season them at all, but you know what? A little salt, a little pepper never hurt anybody. So we're going to add some salt. We're going to add some pepper. And we're just going to let these swim around in the oil until they get soft, but not mushy, because ain't nobody got no time for mushy produce. Right, TJ?
Correct.
Texture is important. It is definitely, to me at least, one of the most important parts of a meal, because if you can have something that tastes amazing, but if it feels terrible in your mouth, it really detracts from the experience. So we're going to let these cook, and while we're doing that, I have, let's see, okay, this is actually perfect. I am using frozen broccoli. The reason I do that is because we have a 24-year-old son who lives at home, and that is not an issue. We love him. He's on the autism spectrum, and so he has very particular preferences over how things are cooked, and he will not eat broccoli unless his mom cooks it. And so I tend to stick with what he likes. So I'm using frozen broccoli, and this is a 32-ounce bag. And I'm just going to go ahead and do the whole thing because he actually really likes this. But the first thing is butter. I have 3 tablespoons here. If you would rather use, I don't know, olive oil or whatever, you can, anything that's going to coat the pan. So we're going to let the butter melt, and then we're just going to add the broccoli, and I'm going to do the whole bag. Okay, so our butter is melted, and so I'm going to have TJ just pour the bag, and this is like a super simple kind of thing. It's not even something that you have to keep a super close eye on. So you just pour the broccoli in, you're going to stir it around, get it kind of coated with the butter, and on occasion, towards the end, I'll even add a little bit more butter. But then I'm gonna add, and these are all just to taste, salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder. So we're gonna do that. So here's our, oops. Oh, I am not even showing the label. Garlic powder. Thanks, Costco. And then we're just gonna sprinkle that in there. For 32 ounces, I went a little bit heavy because that's a lot of broccoli. And then our onion powder, which I did not get at Costco because Costco does not carry onion powder. So we're gonna pop that in there. A little bit of salt. Little bit of pepper. And I'm not sure if you can hear the sizzle, but these vegetables are turning out gorgeous. Can we get a little zoom zoom? Look at that. They're so pretty. They're caramelizing. Look at the fond in the pot. That's going to be all flavor. Oops. This, in the bottom of the pot here, that's called fond. You want that. It is flavor. So we got our vegetables, and they are a good texture now. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the veggies onto a plate because it's time for the shrimp to join the show, which is what we have all been waiting for. So, veggies on plate. Make sure we don't drop any because that would just be sad. Okay, so we're going to add a little bit more oil to the pan, and we're going to lower the heat because shrimp take almost no time to cook, and you do not want to overcook them or you will be eating shrimp flavored rubber. So with these, it's super important that you pat all of the shrimp dry because if they're still wet, they will not adhere, the sauce, the sticky sauce will not adhere well. And as a matter of fact, that's a really good rule of thumb for pretty much any protein. I always dry everything. Just things stick better. So you're gonna put your shrimp in. There we go. I have 2 pounds here. And you don't want to overcrowd your pan because then it will steam and not sear, and you don't want to steam it. So just, they need to be in a single layer, and you're going to do it in batches. But because it's shrimp, it's not going to take that long. So you're going to do a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and a little bit of smoked paprika. And you're going to cook it for only just 1 to 2 minutes per side, and then remove it from the pan. Another tablespoon of butter, and it's just kind of it's taken off the heat, and the butter's just kind of melting on the broccoli. But the potatoes are done, so we're going to remove those from the oven and let you see. You want to take those out for me? I put a trivet right there on the island. I've checked them with a fork. They are fork tender. They smell amazing. Our house smells so good right now, don't you think? Mm-hmm. Look at those beauties. So pretty. Very, very pretty. lightly browned and they're perfectly tender. Oh, perfect. Can't wait. So these are the stars of the show, though. Look at those. Woo, I'm trying to get the right camera angle. They are perfectly seared, not overcooked, not rubber shrimp, because that's just sad. So we're going to take the same pan that we used to cook the vegetables and sear the shrimp. You see, it still has all that fond in there. Flavor, flavor, flavor. So now it's time for the sauce that we made earlier. And we're going to give it one more little whisk just to make sure. And then we're going to pop it into the pan. And it's going to simmer for 2 to 3 minutes. And then after that, we will add our little cornstarch slurry to thicken it up. And look at this tiny little whisk. Isn't that adorable? Our son Jason gave me that little whisk. And I never knew how much I would use such a teensy-tiny little whisk. But it really comes in handy. So we're just going to let that simmer for a bit. All right, everybody, say it. Guinea pig it.
Guinea pig it. Yep, tender, crispy, really good.
Perfection.
Yep.
Yay.
Wheels, whisks, wedding rings, love on a plate and homemade things. If it smells real good, come guinea pig it. Rice deserves joy, don't be stingy